Hi drummers, hope you're well. Little one for you today about developing your groove playing. This is for drummers at the grade 1 and 2 kind of level, or typically in the first year or so of your drumming, something like that. And when we first learn to play the drums, one of the things we typically learn right at the start is a straight 8s feel like this. So a classic straight ahead rock or pop beat. You've got 8th notes, hence the name, straight 8s feel on the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the kick and the snare play 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's a great place to start. Once you've got the hang of that and you've got that flowing along to music a little bit and staying in time, what we want to do next is start to add some variations, right? You want to be able to jam and change that groove up a little bit and be a bit creative with how you play it. And also if you're listening to a song or even reading the music for a song and it's got different patterns in there, different variations on the kick and the snare in particular, you want to be able to replicate those. So we're going to focus in on bass drum today. This is going to be 8 great bass drum variations to get your head around. Like I say, at that grade 1, grade 2 level. I'm going to talk through them and demonstrate them first, and then we're going to have a little play along, and you can play along with this video if you like, with Sweet Home Alabama, just to get the kind of feel for rocking these along with a bit of music. Now, number 1, by the way, you can download the sheet and have a look at these all at once on your music stand, or you can just follow on screen. I'll put the notation on screen for each one as well. So number 1 is a basic straight 8s feel like I just played. That's all it is. The bass drum is on the 1, the snare drum is on the 2, the bass drum is on the 3, and the snare drum is on the 4. Huge thing. Please don't overlook this. I would 100% recommend counting along with these, right, when you're getting the hang of them. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when you're learning this, and that's 1 bar of music, right? Almost always when that's written out, that's 1 bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There are 4 beats in the bar. We're counting up to 4 there. We're actually counting the 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But please do that count, man. That's the main area where I've seen over the years, seeing hundreds and thousands of drum students, that's the main area where I've seen people get muddled up and find it more difficult, is not embedding that count at the start. Some people say, oh, I just like to hear it, just like to feel it. Oh, I mean, cool, man, cool. That's fine. But typically at some point, in my experience, confusion sets in, man. So especially when you're playing that basic version at the start, really establish that count. I would personally say a really good place to start is to be able to say that count along as you play, right? So groove number 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And really be like aware of the count and be able to do that, I would say personally, out loud as well as playing along, is a really good way to just make sure your brain is totally in sync with what you're playing here. So I'd really recommend that. When we do these variations, we're going to refer to that count quite a lot. So please make sure you can do that basic thing first of actually keeping track of where you are in a groove and being able to refer to different notes and stuff. Because otherwise it does get a bit muddy quite quickly, man, unless we can do that. All right, first variation is number 2, and it goes kick on beat 1, snare on beat 2, 2 kicks on 3 and. So 3 and is the 2 little 8th notes, and then beat 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The really lovely thing about all these grooves, the grade 1 and grade 2, is you can think of your 8th notes on the hi-hat like a little grid, like a little template, and every bass drum note, these are only bass drum variations here, remember, every bass drum note will drop in with one of those hi-hats. So another way of saying that is every hi-hat will either have a bass drum with it or it won't. There's nothing in between or anything like that at this point. We're just dropping the kicks in line with the hi-hat. Here's groove number 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, with me so far. Now, number 3 has a little bit of a change to it. On number 3, we've got the first kick on beat 1. The snare is on 2, as always on this page in this video. The kick then comes in on the and of beat 2. So we've got 1 and 2 and. Bit more of a funky move, and then the snare drum is on 4 as usual. This is groove number 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You got it? If you're finding that tricky or any of these tricky at any point, that's completely fine. Just slow right down and work it out. And if you need to, this is completely fine, and I actually would really recommend doing this. It's just a brilliant way to get your nervous system, your hands and your feet and your brain working together to sort of light up in the right order. Literally say the things out loud if you need to when you're working on it. So in this case, for number 3, you'd say, right, hi-hat and kick, hi-hat on its own, hi-hat and snare, hi-hat and kick, and so on. Like, just show your brain all the information, man, in order. And I say this a lot on this channel and the lessons that I teach, but it's just such an important point. So many people don't do that, and then they start saying, "Oh, this is hard. This is quite tricky." This, don't miss out the bit where you actually learn it, man. Like, just show your brain the information, especially if you're finding it tricky. But in any case, I would say just do that. Make sure you've got it nailed down at a super slow speed first, even if you're out of time. Just show your brain and your hands and your feet the right things in the right order. Coordination isn't magic, man. You have to set the precedent in your nervous system for then the flow that will grow from there. Okay, number 4 sounds like this. So here we've got 2 kicks at the start, haven't we? 1 and in sync with the first 2 hi-hats. We've then got a snare on 2, as ever on this page, this video, and then a kick on the and of beat 2, and that's it for number 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you got it. Very cool. Number 5 has got a slightly different bass drum pattern here. The bass drum is going to go on beat 1, the snare on 2, as ever, and then we're going to play and 3. So it kind of is a kind of evil twin of number 2 here. On number 2 we played 1, 2, 3 and 4. On number 5 here, on number 5 it goes 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and so it's still 2 bass drums in the second half of the bar, but they're a little 8th note earlier, aren't they? They go and 3 instead of 3 and. Let's play that slow. This is the one I would say when guys and girls starting off most often is the least instinctive, right? So just take your time. This is where we very often really lean into that count I was talking about at the start. And when drummers aren't quite yet sorted with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and as a basic count, please don't do a different count, by the way. Do that one, because that's the one, man. I promise you that's the one that'll be the most easy in the end. When drummers aren't quite down on that, this is where it gets a bit more confusing. So we really lean into that count. Here it is. Number 5, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you get it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and cool. All right, number 6 is the same thing, but it has 2 kicks at the start. So 1 and 2 and 3. You get it? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is number 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all right, cool. And then number 7, slightly different funky bass drum here. You've got the kick on the 1, the snare on the 2 as ever. Now this time there's only one more bass drum, one in the second half of the bar, and it's on what we'd call the and of beat 3, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 lastly, number 8 is the same as that one, but there's a kick at the end as well, on the very last 8th note on the and of beat 4. Number 8 will go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's another little one that can be a bit tricky with people starting off. The kick at the end on the and of beat 4 obviously comes right before as you repeat the bar. Remember, it's a drum beat, man. It's a looping pattern. So you play the kick right at the end on the and of beat 4, and then that leads directly into another one, doesn't it, on beat 1 of the next bar, and 1, and that can kind of throw people off a little bit as well. Again, it's all about that count, man. If you can count the thing, then you're in business. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and there you're counting what the hi-hat is playing, the 8th notes. That gives you a little grid. The snare drum never changes here. The snare drum is just playing a backbeat, a big hit on beats 2 and beats 4. The bass drum is the thing. I'll do lots of videos with other variations as well, and have done already. But the bass drum is the thing here. So you're just dropping it on that grid, man. Somewhere in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Cool, so they're the ones. What you can really do as well, once you've gone through these grooves, got your head around them, and done a little session like that of just working them out and playing them, a really cool thing to do is have a little bit of a jam, honestly. Just have a little play, because not only is this like learning the beats themselves, it's actually just developing your ability to sort of improvise and develop a groove a little bit. There's loads of times in pieces, like grade pieces in particular, even at the early grades, where it says, especially in rock school, it says develop, right? As in, like, you carry on playing a groove, but you develop it a little bit. You add some changes. This is the perfect sort of thing you would do. And people say to me all the time, how do I do the develop? Have you got any tips for develop? As if, like, you just pull something out of nowhere. No, all you do there in develop is you show variations that you can already play, man. This is like, you have to already be able to do some stuff here. It doesn't come out of nowhere. And then in the develop section, you show the lovely variations that you've been working on. What you can do as well is just sort of play, as I say, once you've gone through this sheet one time, just have a little play. And what you'll find is, especially as you repeat by osmosis, these sort of different patterns will start coming over into your playing, and you'll be able to improvise a little bit. So just in this manner. So get a little groove going, and then as you get more familiar with these little bass drum placements, have a little change up of the kick. Now you could do it whilst looking at your sheet. You could do it without. You could do a mixture. But there we are, like in a basic level there, we're at a basic level there, we're starting to develop the groove or change the groove up, right? In the Trinity, it tends to say continue similar, which is the same kind of thing in the sense that you carry on with a groove feel, but you can make your own changes to it here and there. Just the sort of vocabulary you'd use there for grade 1 and grade 2. Right, we're going to have a little play along to Sweet Home Alabama as promised. What I'm going to do is just shout out what number groove we're on, and I thought this is a good choice of tune just because it's quite fun, and it's also a good sort of speed for grade 1 and 2, I reckon. So we'll have a little play along. I'll shout out which groove we're on as we change, and yeah, we're just going to play grooves here. If you want to put drum fills in between, that's cool, but I'm going to focus on just playing grooves here. Here it comes. And groove number 1. Groove number 2. And groove number 3. Groove number 4. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her, but I heard O'Neill put her down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember, a southern man don't need to run anyhow. Groove number 5. Sweet home Alabama, where the sky is also blue. Sweet home Alabama, Lord, I'm coming home to you. Groove number 6. Groove number 7. Sweet home Alabama, where the sky is also blue.
Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are so blue. Sweet home Alabama, Lord, I'm coming home to you.
So there you go, just a bit of fun, but I hope that all makes a bit of sense. It's just a really nice way to start developing your groove vocabulary and adding in some bass drum variations there, isn't it? So if you've ever found yourself grooving along with your basic groove and just thinking, oh, I wish I could do more variations, I wish I could change this up a bit, that's just the sort of thing I'd recommend doing. You could, of course, practice along with that, or you could take each groove in turn and play the whole song with it if you have more time, just to really embed that. And yeah, I hope that's useful, man. Just a nice little one. There'll be more variations coming up for snare drum and also more variations for higher grade levels as well. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching as always. I really, really appreciate it. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate that so much because that really supports the channel and boosts it along. So thanks to everyone who's done that. And thanks to everyone who supported my channel via my support page, which is the Buy Me a Coffee support page. And I really appreciate that so much. Thanks to everybody who's done that because you're really supporting the channel there and helping it grow in a really cool way. There's two ways of doing that, and thanks so much to the people who've done both of those or either of those. One way is just to buy me a coffee, as the name suggests, which is just a one-off support donation to the channel if you found the videos useful and the channel helpful in any way. And then the second option is to become a member, monthly member. So many people signing up for this now, and I really appreciate it so much. It's been so cool. As a monthly member for £10 a month, again, you're supporting this channel and helping it grow. If you've dug it, if you found it useful, I would massively appreciate that. You get a whole lot of great features with it. I think they're great anyway. You get a complimentary 30-minute Zoom session or face-to-face session if you can come up to my studio in Cambridge here in the UK. You get a practice plan. I'll write for you a customized practice plan which we'll go through at your complimentary session, and a whole lot of other cool stuff as well. You get once a week monthly, once a week monthly. You get once a week members video. You get drum support. So I'll email you back, send you video responses to your questions, and if you have any videos what you record yourself playing and you want me to let me know, give feedback. If you're preparing for a grade or whatever, I'll give you my feedback, and a ton of other great features coming up as well. Thanks a million to all the amazing people who've done that, and thanks to lovely Sonia who bought me some coffees today. I appreciate it so much, Sonia. Thanks a million. I'm so glad the channel's been useful for you. Thanks a million. Cheers.